Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is exciting for me to be here this evening, to be able to introduce someone that I've been close to, it seems like a very long time, but when you look back, it hasn't been that long. We've just got a lot of things done together. But I'm here to introduce Jane Morgan as a candidate for Ward 4. And on the back, there's a bio there that has a few things about Jane, and you can read those. I want to be a little more personal myself about Jane, and the wonderful opportunity that Calgary has to have such an individual willing to step forward and to run and represent Ward 4. I believe that we're struggling here in the city in the sense that we're not reaching our full potential, and we can do much better. And the question is how do we find people that can really raise us to that level? And I think that's where Jane is her strongest attribute, is that she's what I call a common sense conservative. She understands the role of government. She understands the purpose of our communities, what we need, what we want. And that's the most important thing, is there a connection between those people that we elect that represent us and then that government, that level that they're involved in. And too often, there's a total disconnect. Jane is very connected with what I call we as Calgarians. She's very connected in understanding what our demands, what good government is. And so it's exciting for me to be able to introduce someone like Jane. But one of the things that I always feel about elected representatives, and being from the Wild Rose party, is kind of has to be an attribute that we have. But too often we go to elected representatives and ask them, can we do this, can we do that? And they'll say, no, that's impossible, we can't do it. So why ask someone to do something that they already believe they can't do? And that's what's exciting about Jane. She's of that DNA structure that there isn't anything that's impossible. Put it in front, if it's a good idea, it's common sense, she's going to work her heart out to produce that and to come up with the answers to get that. And so that's another great attribute that she has, is that she's very dedicated, she's a very hard worker, she's compassionate though. And again, that's another real attribute and a great blessing that Ward 4 has, is that she's a mother. And everyone does better when they have a mother, and so do communities. And we don't have enough of those involved in politics, because usually it's not for those type. And so to me, it's exciting that she also is offering that we're going to have another wonderful lady involved in politics that we have an opportunity to get behind and really help out. But probably the most important thing of all of those that I mentioned, the two that'll be the most critical in serving us, is her integrity and her passion. She truly believes that we can do better. She sets the goals high. She reaches out for them, and she works hard to get there. And she's impeccable in integrity. That if she says she's going to do something, she does that. And if you tell her you're going to do something and you don't, she'll remind you to help you have your integrity. And so that's another great trait that she has. But overall, I'm just thrilled to see Jane making an offer to the people of Ward 4 to say, vote for me, I'm willing to serve you, because serve she will, dedicated she'll be, common sense she'll be, and that's what we need here in this city, someone with common sense, conservative values, that's dedicated to the community, going to work hard. And so I'd like to give a warm welcome to Jane Morgan, the next alderman from Ward 4.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Paul, very much for that kind introduction. And thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. Tonight I will be sharing with you a bit about myself, about my position on key issues, and why everyone here is so important to my campaign. To begin with, a little bit about myself. Shortly after World War II, my parents immigrated to Canada from the Netherlands. They lived in several provinces, continually moving west until my father finally felt at home here in Alberta. I was born in Drumheller and raised on a dairy farm near Rocky Ford. My father was one of the earliest influences to shape the person of who I am today. He was a very frugal man and didn't believe in debt. If we couldn't earn or save the money for a certain purchase, We went without until we could afford it. With 3 brothers and 3 sisters, I learned the value of cooperation and compromise. And of course, with 7 kids, sharing 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, we learned those lessons pretty early in life. Like many rural kids, I moved to the city right after I graduated high school. And it was in fact 29 years ago today that I moved to Calgary. Over more than the last half of that, I have called Ward 4 home. I have lived in McEwen, Thorncliffe, and now in Highland Park. I have 3 adult children who were raised here and attended schools in this ward. I have been blessed with 1 grandson, and grandson number 2 should arrive before the end of July. I've also been blessed with 3 wonderful stepchildren. So between Corey and I, we have what you might call the Brady Bunch. My work life has also included being a claims adjuster, a customer service representative with Rogers Wireless and with Canada Revenue Agency, and I've also served as the executive director of the Wild Rose Alliance Party. For the past 6 years, I've operated a bookkeeping and consulting business. There are 2 key themes that have run through all of my career endeavors. The first being a focus on customer service. I am first and foremost a listener. I believe it is imperative to listen to others in order to be able to understand the issues and their positions. Second is a very high code of ethics. This is something I have demonstrated time and time again throughout my life, and those who know me say this is likely one of the greatest assets I bring to the table. 6 years ago, I met a wonderful man who was responsible for igniting my interest in politics. When Corey and I met, he warned me that he would be if it came to choosing between a political function or going out on a date with me, the political event would win. In fact, one of our first dates was a rally for Stephen Harper. I quickly learned not only to enjoy these events, but I developed a keen interest in participating and actually making a difference. Corey quickly learned that I have a mind of my own, and I'm not afraid to stand up for what I believe in. Despite that, or maybe because of that, we are now married. I spent the last 5 years concentrating on provincial politics, including running twice for MLA, the first time in 2007 in Calgary Elbow during the by-election, and again in 2008 in Calgary North Hill in the general election. While there is much to be done at the provincial level, my focus has begun to shift closer to home, right here in the city of Calgary. Our council is, for lack of a better word, politically lopsided. It is lopsided to the point where worthy ideas and fiscal prudence are being stifled. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it should be dominated from the other side of the spectrum either. I don't think that would be healthy. I believe we need a balance, and I know I can provide the needed perspective to help achieve that balance. For the purposes of launching my campaign, I've identified 3 key issues that aren't exclusive to our community, but rather ones that every Calgary is impacted by. These are also issues that I heard at the doorstep while campaigning in 2008. Transportation is one of these broad issues. Regardless of whether you're a regular commuter who drives, takes transit, cycles, or walks to work, or if you're just the occasional user of our roads, transit, and pathways, you are affected by transportation. The construction of infrastructure is something we all live with. In order for things to improve, we do have to put up with this. However, I know we've all been frustrated with seeing the same strip of roadway torn up several times for the lack of foresight of getting all the utilities done at one time. Or for the projects that get started only to stall when they shift the resources elsewhere. To name a few of the things that I think could have or should be handled differently, these would include the airport tunnel, the parking fees at LRT stations, snow removal, and of course the